4,
like
9,
even
20, 25.
Today's the 20th. Yes.
Easter. Okay.
I like this setup a little better because even though I don't have anywhere to put my stuff and our legs are showing, I like having the distance. I don't have to freaking balance that thing on a futon.
But do you usually balance it on that?
Usually I put it on the futon over there.
Oh.
You know what I probably could have done that I never thought of? Which that futon, if I just put it down, like the
armrest. Yeah.
Probably would have worked. Giving us a little height too, maybe. I don't know. This isn't a bad height.
In fact, it's not as high as that, I'll bet. Because if you put that down, well,
it's still kind of low.
Yeah,
like that still has to go higher.
Yeah, if you leave it on the tripod, you're right.
I don't know. It's kind of Mom. When are we getting the studio? Mom, when are we getting the podcast studio?
Listen, I'm out of the New Jersey studio, so I'm not used to
that's right. You
studio.
get your own studio.
Yes, I have my own studio.
You want to just move that mic just a little? Yeah, there you go. Much better. But not right in your face.
Not right in my face.
I like so guys. Listen.
I spent a ridiculous amount of money on these freaking arms, and they are not great
because they don't have the maneuverability that I would like.
Oh, it's fine.
Like I wish they made more mouth. Well, now that microphone's in your face and they can't see you probably.
Well, they don't know what I look like. They see me every week.
Yeah, fair point. That's a fair point too. Professionalism, not especially like now that we're getting brand deals from YouTube.
I did not bring my hair and makeup team from New Jersey.
Yeah, Mom's 4-person makeup team, which is ridiculous.
I would love if somebody right now like pats some makeup on my face from the side.
Every 5 minutes we have to cut the camera so that little Asian lady could come up.
Do my hair with
Doesn't have to be Asian.
But... Off to the side. That was you. I didn't say that. That was you.
Well, Ming is Asian at the house, so when she comes...
Oh, come on.
You know the ones that you keep in the cover? That one was a joke, I will admit.
No, she's too busy running a race. Oh,
yeah. Well,
see?
You want to go right into articles instead of wishing everyone Happy Easter?
Happy Easter.
Guys, we went to Mass this morning.
Yes.
I've never been to that church before, even though it's right down the street. I won't lie to you guys. I've never seen such a packed church in my life. Mom and I guys, like, this place had so much parking, and yet still...
Yep.
Grass, like people were on the grass. There were people trying to park in the graveyard.
And I'm not sure they were creasters like you and me.
No, yeah, I think that's just that packed of a church. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I haven't seen even back home. I don't think St. E's would get that packed.
Well, that's a smaller church. Our church is much smaller than that church. That church down here is a regional church. So
even then though, I mean, the amount of cars that were just people were blocking other people in. I thought we were going to see a fight today.
Hey, listen, Team Jesus, you know?
Team Jesus.
They're coming out for him.
We're going to be labeled as a religious podcast pretty soon.
Okay, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I just told you that quote that I read the other night that in the UK, Catholics now outnumber Anglicans, and that has since Henry VIII. It's the largest number of Catholics.
Wow.
Yeah. He was the one that switched over.
He's also the one that killed 20 wives.
Only 8.
Only 8.
6, maybe not all 8. But yes, he had 8 wives. But yes, he's the reason why the split from the UK, from the Catholic Church, was Henry VIII. He wanted to divorce his wife and marry.
Divorce is ugly. Just have her decapitated.
In Berlin. Yeah, he wound up doing that too. But
Berlin, yeah.
Anne Boleyn was Elizabeth I's mother. Queen Elizabeth I.
Oh, whoa, really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
He married a Spanish. The first wife was a Spanish?
Oh, Mom's going deep into history.
Yeah, well,
guys,
anyhow.
I'm sorry. You know how many people just clicked off?
Yeah, sorry. But anyhow,
you know how many?
It was always Roman Catholic. Then they converted it, and then they persecuted the Catholics for the longest time.
That was like that.
UK.
You know what that was? That was that moment. I could see it in your eyes, where like trying to think of what movie it is, but where almost like a clairvoyance, where like everything stops and the person does like that wide-eyed, and then shows the future a little bit, and then they come back. That was you. That's what you just did.
I had an intellect fart.
Yeah, like a brain fart, but way worse.
Only a smart one.
Yeah.
A smart fart. Smart fart. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, smart fart. Oh God. So we're gonna start calling. Is that merch? Is that what we're gonna start putting on shirts?
Hey, yeah, there you go. Smart fart. Excuse me, I had a smart fart.
I hate when I have one of those.
I apologize that you learned something. I had a smart fart.
Someone call that autism.
No.
Someone call that Tourette's.
It's a whole different thing.
But who needs your brains when you're going to be doing this pretty soon? So China just had
Yeah.
humanoid robots run a half marathon alongside flesh and blood competitors. Now, first off, I don't like how they called it flesh and blood competitors. That's bad part number one.
I think they could have just said human competitors.
Yeah, they could have just said human or people. But so they did. It's actually really neat how they did this. So basically, on top of this marathon, they wanted to test how these robots would do. Oh, you think that's bad? Look at this. Look at this one. The next one's wild. They put a full-on... Look at that.
Oh, my gosh.
I hate that. That looks like a normal face.
It's a cute face.
Ah, see, you're the reason. You're the problem.
I'm the problem.
You're the problem. Thinking that's a cute face.
Get used to it, Chris. That's the future.
Yeah. But here's my other problem with this article. They don't say how they did compared to the humans.
I was going to say, who won?
So it took them 2.5 hours, I believe. Hold on, let me see. It took 2 hours and 40 minutes and 42 seconds for the first non-human to win.
Okay.
They didn't tell us how that was in comparison. So they basically had two races at the same time. One with people, one versus the
they didn't run them together?
They ran them together, but they didn't compete them together. They just did it, right? And there wasn't that many. It was 20 teams of robots, whereas a lot of people did the half marathon.
Awards were given out: best endurance, best gait design, most innovative form.
They had to give time for battery swapping. so these pit stops in a half marathon.
Fair. That's not
stops.
Humans don't get that.
Right, but that's why they don't. That's why they didn't compete against each other. It was just robots versus robots and
because humans rule.
Now the other thing they also didn't say if the pit stops were factored in. They did no videos because it's China. No videos whatsoever. So we just, I don't even know if these things actually finished.
So we didn't see the little girl, 5-year-old girl working the legs on the camera.
Yeah, exactly. But they brought all these. It would be cool to go because there was a lot of companies. This is the one that ended up winning. A lot of companies brought all their designs.
Yeah.
So you guys see the kid playing with the robot dog.
Playing
with the robot dogs. Hold on, and I'm like, oh yeah, they love that because these ones aren't.
Yeah.
I think I gotta blur that one.
That's gotta come out.
Sorry.
Robot dog. That's not a dog.
Yeah, not really. But you know what also makes me a little uneasy? Oh, come on. I hate when I accidentally click on things. It bothers me that we're putting the
medals on them?
on the robots. It bothers me that we have a podium where this feels like an I Am Legend moment.
Yeah,
or
that's a little...
iRobot moment. Give the badge to the
designer.
People. Yeah,
there's somebody who designed it,
Guys,
putting it on the robot.
They have this robot on a podium, and he's standing there like he's receiving the award, and there's a guy putting the award around its neck.
Yeah.
This is scary to me.
And look at that freaking award. It's like a shield with dangly things.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's a little robot with ears. It looks like a dog, actually.
Little Cindy Woo's gonna steal that when no one's looking to feed her family for the next
She's
year.
the one that made it.
She made it. She's taking it.
God, this podcast is going down real fast.
Right?
We're losing our monetization.
We're in trouble.
We're trying to get sponsors here. Here we go. But yeah, I am curious to see. Oh, and then look, they made one Michael size.
Just
so they have one that's like a kid on a harness, which is basically what my mother used to do to us.
To you,
when we
yeah.
were kids.
No, not all of you, just you, Chris.
Yeah. Oh,
he's gonna run off. Lasso him.
We gotta make sure this one doesn't get away. It's very strange to look at, though, seeing a robot child. Because it's what's the point? Why make a robot child?
Well, I'll say this.
Uh-oh.
If you could do all that, wouldn't it be fabulous if you could give those legs to a child who's a human that has no legs? I mean, I'll say this. It bodes well for the future for people who have limitations.
Absolutely.
If we can adapt it. But if we're just making robots to replace humans,
It's just it's just strange to see a robot kid. Because why make a kid?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? That family that can't... Are we going to have Are we going to have robot orphanages? And now these kids have to compete?
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's scary to me.
That's a good point. Why do we have these children?
Yeah. Look, they shoved that one over. He said, "You're a bitch robot." No, he didn't make it.
Fell?
He didn't make it.
It was exhausted.
It was
Crossed
tired.
the finish line.
I was tired.
The battery just ran out.
And then they did some robot. They did a lot of testing stuff, so it's a lot of robot testing. But again, all in all, it was fun, but I would like to see. I bet you if I Googled it, I can look it up.
Yeah.
What the fastest time was on
That
the humans.
article probably didn't go into
Yeah,
that much
so
detail.
actually,
What is it, the AP?
Yeah, let's quickly look it up. How about I just look up what's the fastest, or like what's the average half marathon time?
For who? A humanoid
Human.
or a... Oh, for human.
What's the average half marathon time?
Let's see.
I just want to know, are we lucid to these robots? That's basically what I'm asking.
Well, you can't compare it. They were stopping to get a battery.
Right.
You can't compare.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Because like, let's say you didn't have to do a pit stop, is that factored in or no? So the average half marathon time for men who probably train for it is an hour 55.
Okay.
I could do it in 45. if I really,
With a pit
if
stop,
I really
Chris? With a
prep.
pit stop?
But the half marathon, so hour 55. The best way to determine if you're a good time is your average. Okay, whatever. So 2 hours 40 isn't great.
I don't want to do things I enjoy for 2 hours.
Yeah, really.
So I
Just getting to a 5-hour live stream is
I
hell.
give anybody credit who does that, let alone now you got to compete with people that don't sweat or wear out and they get their battery changed in the middle of the race. It doesn't seem
I
very
guess it's the same thing as a water
inspiring.
stop for us.
No, that's more than a water stop.
Did you see the video? There's a video going viral right now of, I guess, one of the marathons, or no, biathlon, whichever one's the bike. Triathlon? The guy, they
Swimming,
have the
bike, run.
They have the waters out for the bikers. And this guy, there must have been 12, misses every single one. And by the end, he's just like,
forget it.
it's like, I'm good. I mean, I do want to talk about this one because Katy Perry's...
Oh.
There's something incredibly sketchy about how they opened the hatch on Katy Perry's rocket.
Something sketchy about the whole
Okay,
thing.
I want to talk about this one with people. You ready? I have a question. Right. Well, not really a question, but what happened to Katy Perry? She has her show. She makes a lot on that America's Got Talent or whatever she's on, right? I just remember last year, or maybe 2 years ago, she was promoting the crap out of this album that ended up flopping. Remember, there wasn't any good songs on it. It just did very, very poorly. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, oh, that looks very fuzzy. And now it looks like she's trying to do everything in her power to stay relevant because I don't think she's promoting anything anymore. So what she does is she becomes buddy with Bezos, essentially, Bezos' wife, and goes, I'm gonna go up to space in a rocket, right? And they do this whole video for it. They have them flying. But then people are starting to notice, so I think the first tip off that it was fake was the opening of the hatch. Did you see this? It was basically like
I read about it.
Yeah, it's like a crappy little zipper that makes no sense, right? The hatch itself is like, ugh.
Well, my understanding was they showed somebody opening the hatch. And then later on, they made this whole big deal with Jeff Bezos opening the hatch, like it was for the first time, where somebody had just opened it beforehand. So right there, they were a little bit sketch about what's.
And then when they show they'll show the they show the actual footage of them going up, right? And there's no G-force pushing them down, right? So it's just Katy Perry like this. Ah! If you were going up in a rocket, guys, your face is going. Yeah. The G-force to get up there is insane. Otherwise, it's just. I mean, even in a plane, you're still like, oh my god. She was very. There's a lot of questions, but it's like, it's just funny to watch her. She has the money where she could have done the actual thing, but she didn't want to, so she tried to fake it. And again, it just hurts your appearance more than helps. Is that like an out of touch thing? I feel like that's completely out of touch.
Well, she did get a lot of publicity out of this, more so, but why? It's a lot of negative for her. We were talking about that before. I said there were other people that went up. The Sanchez woman went up. Gail King went up. William Shatner was part of the group.
The Shat, as we call him.
I think there were two other people. I don't recognize all of them. And yet, people just don't like Katy Perry. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I know she was a big... she was involved in politics that kind of hurt her a little bit. And to your point, she had a album that went nowhere. I'm sure they spent money on it. Then she was trying to become relevant. She gets involved in this. I don't know why they're singling out her as being, the
I think because she pushed it so hard to promote it.
guess so. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
because I didn't read a lot about the Blue Origin
You know what I
trip.
think it is? I think it was the fact that she was married to Russell Brand and made him out to be this crazy guy, but they realized that he's like an actual like political genius.
Well,
like actually,
he's run into some
yeah,
trouble
but he's had
recently,
his shit.
too.
He has his shit together better than most people at that level. Like, he's more in touch than I think Katy Perry is, and I think that's why when that divorce happened,
I don't know if anything, you would think the media people would hold it against her that she was with him. Now she's with Orlando Bloom, right? They have a kid together.
good, right? Because
So,
they had a divorce and got back together or whatever.
right. I think, in my opinion, Katy Perry, I think she's not sustaining the talent that everyone thought she had with her first couple albums, right?
But also, yeah.
She came out with a dud, and they panic.
But also, you're done. You've made your money. What else are you trying to do? Right? How much does she make just every season on that America's Got Talent or whatever?
I don't know. Is she still on that?
She's on one of them.
Yeah. You have to stay relevant in the entertainment business, and you can't have flops.
I guess if you want to keep going.
Yeah.
That's why that Snow White girl's probably never going to see the screen.
Well,
again.
look at Beyonce. They got a ton of money. Her album did not do well. The country thing that came out.
What are you talking about, Mom? It was the #1 country album.
She got some bogus award where even the country singers were
that's
like,
it.
"What the heck is she
What are we
getting this
talking
for?" And now with all the P Diddy stuff, there's some negative
Which is
with
still
her.
alleged. I don't think
Everything's
that much.
alleged, but bad publicity is supposed to help you, and sometimes it does. Or any publicity they say is good publicity. In this case, it's like, what have you done lately? And that's somebody who, Destiny's Child, Beyonce, married a big producer. People don't care. It's like, what have you done lately?
That's why I told Matt Sprague, if I'm going to get famous and I have to do it the dark way, I need to get Matt Sprague addicted to drugs, and then I'm going to get him rehab and act like I was the hero. That's the plan. I tell him all the time. He's like, okay, Kristen, we have to.
Do if we have to. We'll do it if I have to.
He goes, at least you're not selling your soul. I'm like, well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'm like, Matt.
Get my friend addicted to drugs.
Yeah,
Just a little
get
bit.
Matt Sprague addicted to drugs. He's already addicted to like half the thing, so might as well. What's one more hard one?
Kicking a man while he's down.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Keep going, Matt.
My
Spiral
favorite
control.
is like, because Matt Sprague drinks a lot. And drinks, no, I wouldn't say a lot, but he drinks pretty much daily at this point. So I was like, Matt, when, like the classic Matt, why are you drinking? He goes, because the day ends in day.
Oh, God.
I drink every day that ends in day.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, oh, you need help.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's more going on with Matt.
Yeah, that's why.
Makes Katy Perry look like she's on target.
I still think the funniest thing when we laugh about all the time is, for those of you that don't know, my dad never watches the podcast. My dad doesn't even want like doing the podcast. The only podcast he's ever watched of mine was the one with Matt Sprague, and if that didn't turn Dad away, I don't know what does. Matt Sprague's podcast is wild.
I think Dad listens to more than you realize. He mentioned stuff to me that I didn't even know. I don't remember for the podcast. He said stuff to me.
Yeah, I think when he drives up to Papa's, he might watch one, but to start with the Matt Sprague one is wild.
Or listens to it. Can't see it on the car, but he listens to it.
Yeah, Dad puts it on the screen. Dad puts it on the screen.
It's like everything else. He wants to hear how many times he's mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, with Dad's speech. Oh, yeah, we never really talked about this, but when we went to Jen's award ceremony, which got she took it down, she's re-editing it, because I wanted to post a clip of my mom receiving her award, which is really just me.
We should have put it behind us.
It's clipped out. Yeah, it's clipped out so that it's just my face. You guys can't even hear me see my mom. It's just me going, that's my award.
Staring up into space.
It's like fake out some tears. But when that was coming up, I've never received so many texts from Dad of like I'm like gonna get the whole I'm so proud of you. He's like, when are you gonna mention me?
Yeah.
Dad was more excited for this award than we were.
Every person before me who mentioned their spouse, his dad sent down a text.
Yeah,
Get
because
ready.
they watched it live. My dad and my brother.
Did you hear it?
And Dad's never texted me. He texted me more in that hour time frame that I've ever received.
It's all about him.
Total.
It was all about him, Chris.
Yeah.
That award was all
and then
about
the second
him.
it was done, he turned off. He turned it off. He was like, okay. But yeah. So Mom's actually doing Jen's podcast tomorrow. So the day this comes out, and hopefully that comes out too, and we'll send you a link. But
yeah, that should be interesting.
Yeah,
I spoke to her.
Especially now that it's after the awards rather than during, which I think is funny because even though we got, this is how skewed the awards were, not in a negative way, but mom did the recording with Jen a couple months ago now, right?
Oh,
At
easily,
least,
yeah.
A couple months ago, and then Jen lost it, but mom still got the award. So the only reason we won is because I did the podcast, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not over 50, so I guess our viewers are a combination. Voted for you, and that's why you got third.
Yeah.
So it's my
and I
award.
am fabulous in 50.
Yeah,
50
it's still your
fabulous.
podcast, but
50
yeah, now you have
fabulous.
to redo it. But I'm not. I'm sure Jen for the judges showed our stuff to the judges.
Yeah,
and
you
then
said
they
there was a lot.
determined
She
it.
said there was a lot of people involved. in
Guys, you know
judging.
what I'm surprised by? Because Jen was showing me the statistics. Because Jen has a lot of demographics on all these podcasters.
Mm-hmm.
Only like 5% of all podcasts have video. I did not realize how.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of it's recordings, audio.
I only watch ones with video, so it just tells me how many freaking podcasts there are out there, and we're just a number. We're
but
just a
it's
stat.
5% of a huge number.
5% of a massive
Yeah,
number.
so still a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people don't do video. I almost find video easier than. Well, I shouldn't say that. I like video editing, so audio editing would be.
I guess you could still put them on AM/FM platforms if you want to, and run it
Maybe
the traditional
I'm just gonna
way.
grab more coffee.
It's not necessarily a bad idea because I know a lot of people do listen to podcasts when they travel, right? So driving great distances, and they throw on a
Right, but even
podcast
if you
unit.
put the video on, it's still gonna have the audio. Like, you don't have, like if Dad watches.
True, especially nowadays, a lot of people's cars already have
Yeah.
Android Play. You can pull it right up on your phone. But
If I really wanted to, I can actually put videos on the Camry. I won't do that though because that's probably illegal. But like you can turn those screens, the Apple Play ones, into full-on movies.
Yeah, well,
Have I thought about it? Yes.
Well, I know you could do that with the apps when I do, when I listen to like apps in the car that are recordings, Spotify stuff. So yeah, Rogan stuff will come up when you put it on. But yeah, I'm surprised at how many times I'll be watching it, listening to an app, and they'll describe something for those of you who don't have the video.
Yeah. I mean, like we're on Spotify too, which we're trying to get those numbers up, people. So please, it won't do video unless you ask it to. Like you physically have to change it to video on Spotify
every time.
You could set it by default,
Oh.
but you could turn it off. Like you don't have to watch the video.
Okay.
But it's at the point where we just upload it as it is anyway.
Well, we very rarely, when Dad and I, when we do the long rides, we don't put the video.
Watch your pants, Mom.
We don't put the video. I forget we're cameras. Yeah. We don't put the video on because or if it comes up, but we're listening on the podcast. We don't really pay attention to what. I'm not watching it. Dad's driving, so.
But even if I'm watching one on the road, I'm not really. Yeah, I'd rather just listen. Like we watched when I drove down here, we watched the one with the Undertaker on Rogan.
Okay.
And that one, I mean, maybe I just have such a good imagination, but
No,
I don't really need to see it. So.
Well, yeah, we went from Katy Perry to talking about podcasts, but.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised she doesn't. I'm sure she has a podcast. What am I talking about? It's probably called the Watch Me Roar podcast or some shit after one of her songs.
Don't they all
She's
have
doing everything. But what I mean is, like, you don't have to do this to stay relevant. You could have just kept doing what you were doing. I mean, I will say this: Katy Perry as a name, even though
I disagree. She catapulted herself to a major news feed for at least the last week or two.
Yeah, but I guess that's the different. When I hear relevance, right? Maybe my definition of relevance is a little different, but everyone, Katy Perry, if she did nothing tomorrow and just retired, never showed her face again, she's big enough that she's going to come up at some point in conversation. Like no one's going to talk about, no offense, Meghan Trainor, right? She had one song all about that bass. Right?
Yeah. Well,
and you know who she married?
I do know.
She married the kid from Spy Kids. Right, remember
I
the
knew
boy?
it was a celebrity. I couldn't remember the actual person.
He didn't do much, but well, I guess being married to Meghan Trainor is much. And I'm not saying Meghan Trainor's not a celebrity and great in her own way, but I'm saying Katy Perry is just such a big name anyway. So that's why I feel like
She is.
she's kind of like the
but
A-list
I said,
of
you have to stay relevant, and when you'll see as more and more of them, one album flop and everybody freaks out. You would think that they could absorb that, come out with another one, but they freak out. I mean, these are industries. They put a lot of money into these albums when you get to that level.
Yeah,
if they don't do well, it's like a bad movie.
I guess they're
You can
chasing
only
a
absorb
dragon a little bit.
Right, you can only absorb so many flops before you go into the dustbin.
Every YouTube video I post, I absorb. That's a flop.
Well, but I'm saying she was, the Katy Perry. Look at Ed Sheeran. I mean, he's keeps churning out.
Right, but he's got a talent
If he gets a couple flops out there, well, now all of a sudden, the industry will still support him after one or two. But in her case, she's not an actress. Well, she did that perfume commercial, right? I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
The guy in it, who's a no-name model actor, was a better actor than she was in that commercial. I urge you all watch that commercial. She's terrible in it. And she doesn't even say anything. She just has to stand there and do something.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
She's like, okay, so she's not an actress. Her last song flopped.
Her last album flopped.
You would think she'd get some tread out of being married to another celebrity. And
But
nobody
Orlando
really
Bloom
cares
doesn't.
about that.
Yeah, Orlando Bloom hasn't done anything in a while.
No, he hasn't done anything in a while either. They do have their daughter, but, she didn't really, to her credit, get a lot of traction out of that. Sometimes they make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I just wonder at what point.
She ain't no Taylor Swift. She's not an industry.
Well, she's kind of at that level, though, in the sense of fame and popularity. As I said,
I'm not sure about that.
you wouldn't put her up there with Taylor Swift in the sense of notoriety?
I don't think she's drawn. Well, I don't know if Katy Perry writes her own music like Taylor Swift does.
I think Benny Blanco writes most of her stuff.
She, I don't know, she's not drawing the crowds, the Era Tour, like a Taylor Swift.
Right, but my question, I guess that's kind of the question. Does she even have to anymore? She's made her money. What's she chasing? Now she's just chasing the fame that she once had. See what I'm saying? Because Orlando Bloom, I mean, he's like, I'm good.
Well, this was a quick hit for notoriety. I mean, this got her back into media. What's not good is if they push it too much and it turns out to be a hoax kind of thing, which I think enough people are smelling that this thing was
bullshit.
not legit. Yeah. And even some of the entertainment industry people are like, enough about this because this was it's a flop. It's a total flop that, it's sad that this is getting almost as much attention as SpaceX bringing back 2 astronauts that have been stranded for
That's
how many months.
true. Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's almost, a vain attempt or a veiled attempt at trying to usurp the attention, and it's just kind of like, come on. It's a joke.
Yeah. I think there was better things she could have done than go to space.
Well, and also last week, Gayle King was making some sort of comment like it's sexist to call us astronauts. So she was even trying to ride this thing and make something out of it. Like this is a legitimate issue. Come on, okay? It's whatever.
Yeah, but wait, so she's trying to say that they're trying to call themselves astronauts, Gayle King, or
somebody made that comment and Gayle King was saying on her talk show or whatever, they were interviewing her about this, about how it's racist to say it was astronauts. And
racist?
I think, anti-feminine, whatever. What's his name?
there's too much.
Hegseth. Oh, you know who it was? It was the head of transportation, Duffy. Came out and which I thought was unnecessary. He says, it's insulting to astronauts to call them astronauts, and he gives the definition of an astronaut. These were not astronauts. They didn't go to outer space.
Yeah, if anything, they'd go only up to like the right before space, like it converts to space.
Right.
Like I think up to the ozone layer. I don't know how it works. I don't know the layers of.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody was calling them astronauts. I mean, maybe they were trying to label it as astronauts or some lame-ass media.
Yeah, they probably tried to. Yeah, they're just trying to.
That he even had to respond. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I roll. Nobody thinks Katy Perry's an ass. She ain't no John Glenn. Or Gayle King. And then when they were taking it so seriously, I'm like, you got to be careful, ladies. If you take it too seriously and somebody exposes this as a giant media flop, now you've really burnt yourself.
You ready for some more potentially stupid news?
Potentially.
They found a new color, right?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Scientists claim they've seen a jaw-dropping new color. Wait,
but you can only experience it by shooting lasers directly
Let's do
into
that.
your eyes.
Yeah, that's smart.
Okay, Superman. Let's look at the sun. Man, I hate
Cyclops.
how blurry that looks. Oh, you know why? It's because of the
Lighting?
No, it's because lighting, but also this is a weird aspect ratio.
Oh.
At the old MacBooks. But yeah, so basically they're talking about how there's this phenomena, I think is the word.
Yeah.
Well, basically there's a color of light that you can see that is only visible when it reflects off of the retina. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, wasn't this exactly what you weren't supposed to do?
Right.
What happened? I guess it just stopped. But isn't that what you weren't supposed to do? Like, remember your parents would be like, don't stare directly into the TV. Yeah. don't look at the sun. And then they're like, oh, here's a freaking, just shoot this laser beam into your eye.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that the other day. So color is what the sun, what is reflected or absorbed. I can't remember. So a black shirt is every color is absorbed and it shows as black, or every color is reflected, it shows as black. Color is just a reflection.
I think it's absorb. I'm going to say absorb because, right,
light.
that's heat.
No, I can't remember if it's the
That's why
absence
we
of the
get
light
hot
you
and
observe,
black stuff
or if it's
or
what's
whatever.
reflected that creates color. So to have a new color, like, well, how do you judge a new color? Like a varying degree of blue, white, Roy G.
Yeah,
Biv?
it's gotta be yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't
So-
know the difference between some of the colors out there, but
Unless it means that it's like a
frequencies.
new primary color, but
Well, it's frequencies, right? Light frequencies.
yeah, but it's got to
and
be
what's
of some
reflected back.
form of like purple or of the Roy G. Biv scale.
I would think so, but I always thought there were infinite colors in the Roy G. Biv scale because you have
Right, but
different
they're a
wavelengths.
blur of the the rainbow scale.
Right, but the color is just light wavelengths, how much is absorbed and what's reflected.
Right.
Either or. And so you can have a certain amount will give you a version of purple, right? Or violet.
Right.
A certain amount's going to give you versions of red or yellow or green. So to my mind, how would you even know it other than through marking the different light waves to know that it's a new color? It must be a color that's never had those waves before.
Can I be honest with you, Mom? I don't care.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion I don't care. Unless it's like a color that looks good
Yeah.
on me,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I just thought it was funny that they're like, hey,
Shoot this
start
light.
shooting lasers into
Yeah.
your eyes.
How'd they figure this out?
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to know. What poor animal had to go
No,
blind?
You know what it was? It was a bunch of scientists getting bored and they're hey, yo, Bill.
Beep!
I can't say.
I see a new blue, green,
Yeah.
purple.
Yeah. They're like, or worse, they're like, hey, what if we just told people? I bet you we could get some idiots out there to believe this.
I'm sure they would if we
Like,
paid
how
them
many
enough.
kids are going to be, hey, you want to see a new color? And then just,
Yeah.
Timmy
Laser
went
them in
blind
the
at the
eye.
age of 7. The first one didn't work, so they tried the other eye.
No, that's not a color. That's an embolism. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's an eye embolism. Oh, I thought it was a new shade of red. No, that's just your retina blowing up.
Yeah, geez.
Who would do that?
Yeah, there's some colors that I just don't have
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. All right, I think those were my 3. So let's go right into Universal Studios.
Well, you talked about this last podcast. We talked about how great it was coming out, something new. You already booked your flight. You had your brothers driving up.
Yep, Ken and guys, we're going to be sending a lot of videos.
They put some money into this bad boy. They got high expectations. This was a $7 billion investment.
$7 billion, which, can I tell you, not as much as I would have thought.
Giving them a $2 billion boost to the Florida economy and adding 17,500 jobs in the first year.
Damn.
Just in the first year.
17,500 jobs?
New jobs, yeah.
Damn.
Well, think about it. You got to have at least 8 people getting the idiots on the line.
Please keep your hands in the roller coaster at all times.
You need at least 5 going like this every time it goes down.
It's true. Not to mention all the food places. The
Yes.
food places are the. You know, I never thought about this, but I wonder. I gotta ask someone who works in that business. When you have the food courts and stuff in there, I'm sure like Burger King is Burger King and blah blah blah. Like,
Yeah.
Like let's use Universal as an example. City Walk, which
Yeah.
I've been to a bajillion times. The Burger King. Does Burger King hire those people, or is it Universal that hires those people to work at Burger King?
I think that the franchise
Okay.
hires them.
And then Universal owns the franchise, as in like that.
Well, probably the franchise buys that spot. So if the franchise doesn't do well and they're not making money, they get booted out and a new Cinnabon comes in.
Yeah.
Remember, a few things had rotated out because they
Right.
don't make
And
if
I
it's
wonder,
not doing well.
Yeah, and I wonder if that counts as the 17,000 jobs.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
I have
we're
to
talking
believe
about the investment in Florida. Those are new jobs.
Mom,
in
I'm so
Florida.
excited for Epic Universe. I'm so excited. I can't wait to go.
Well, it also puts pressure, as you could see on the other stuff, because people only have so many dollars to spend. And am I going to go to Disney, which has the same old, or should I go to Universal that has some new rides, and new things going
Because we're
on?
in the process of buying a new Ferrari. So, like, what do we... Who cares,
Do we go
mother?
to Epic
Yeah.
or do we buy?
Yeah.
No.
Do we... Epic... I mean, I'm telling you, when we're there in Orlando for this party, me, Drew, Ken, Mike, we are hitting it. Oh, and Matt Nee, I think, is coming, so...
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna go, or I could bring the girls, the YouTubers.
Yeah, or at best you get Mike.
Oh, Mike's gonna go hard at this thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to see. If he's in Orlando, you spend an extra day there. He'd do the Epic.
Yeah,
But
Mike
I
and I,
don't-
hold on. Let me stop you right there, Ma. Mike and I are doing all three parks again. You're crazy. Mike and I will get a hotel together at the. Well, did you see the new hotel that they added? So
we
now
showed
there's
it
a
last
hotel
time.
in the park.
Right, for the
So,
Epic one.
Yeah. So, hey guys, just because again I know this place like the back of my hand at this point. So we used to go to that hotel that's kind of on the side, and then you walk over. Remember that? You go by that boat.
Yeah.
The volleyball courts right there. Yeah. So now in Epic, there's the Helios, I believe it's called, which is dead center. So it's
But
like
of this
dead center
park,
of
of the Epic Park.
Epic Park.
Yeah, the
and
other
I think
ones were
that
outside
connects to
of
the
those.
train that takes you through the to
Yeah,
the other
the
one.
Harry Potter
So
one.
now instead of having to go to City Walk and then splitting, you can stay in Helios and then just go to all three parks.
Well, you have to. I'm curious.
I will
We
be
did
doing the
that-
Mummy
we did the
17
The
times.
Harry Potter was part of the original Universal, so they've expanded that in the Epic Park, the Harry Potter stuff. We're not really Harry Potter people,
Oh, wrong.
so well.
Oh, wrong.
Did you read
There's
one
my
of the
magic
books?
wand.
Did you read one of the books, Chris? I don't think so.
Who reads, Ma? The movies are
So
out.
that
I've seen all
one,
7
I don't
or 8
know,
movies.
like How to Train Your Dragon. That's kind of
Don't
it was
know
a
that
good
one.
show, but it was for little kids, kind of thing. That was the cartoon. Super Mario, if you're into that stuff.
I don't like your tone
But-
right now.
well, I'm just
I don't like your
saying,
tone.
it's not
if you
like-
don't think I'm doing every Nintendo ride they have, you're crazy.
Well, you're going to visit the IP library, including Super Nintendo and Wizard World of Harry Potter. The park showcased Universal's deep IP library.
We might be going in there. We might be taking a look. But like I'm doing the Mummy 20 times. The Mummy's
Well, that's
phenomenal.
old school.
Yeah,
That's not part of Epic.
but you still
That's
go to
not-
all of them. You still
Well, I
do them.
would.
But I will say this: whether you're a Harry Potter fan or not, it isn't. And if you've never been to Universal, guys, it is worth the ticket price just to stand and look at Hogwarts and the.
Yeah, if you're a
It's
Harry
pretty-
Potter fan, it's
even
really,
if you're not, it's
yeah.
pretty incredible what they did.
Well, for a little kid, I mean, if you're a little kid and you really do feel like you're in that
Little
world.
kid,
they
Mom,
do
I'm 30.
I'm saying-
Mom, I'm 29, and I'm still. I go in there. I'm like, where the fuck is my cape?
the robe, the
Where- yeah.
glasses, the watch.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Jeez.
But going through the buildings and stuff, it is. You gotta admit, it's pretty surreal.
Yes, they do
how-
a very good job of it.
like,
yes.
yeah,
The train ride where you actually see the seeds out
Yeah,
your
you see
window.
everything outside the Death Hollows or what?
They
Hollow,
do a
whatever
very
you
good
call
job
them.
of that. That is
I'm
true.
not that nerdy.
But
that I
my
remember.
point is, if you have to pay for each of those parks, so some people could just get away with going to Epic and just going. You get multiple parks with that one.
Yeah,
you
Mike and I
don't-
are doing a week.
Well, but you may not have to go to I guess they must have blended the two Harry Potters together. The one that was originally there and then what goes into the Epic area. I'm not sure. Because remember, there was a Harry Potter area.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if they just expanded that into the Epic and added these other parks. Like now it would be, we talked about this. Is it 3 parks now? Or is it?
Yeah, it's 3.
Yeah, so do you just go to this one and you get that part of Harry Potter?
Yeah,
that
but
was
if
in
you're
the
there,
other
you're gonna
2?
hit everything. Like
Well,
you
but
gotta.
there's a price tag. It's expensive for people to do multiple parks, and people may not be Marvel heroes. If your kids aren't into that, and those rides are not the
Yeah,
great
but if
anymore.
you're, then it's like, why are you going to Universal at that point?
Well, I would go just for the Epic because we've been to the others. But my point is,
Hold on. You're telling me you'd go to Epic, but be like, not do the Mummy.
but Chris saying some people can't afford to do all those, right?
Right,
So
but-
if you just have enough to go to one park, You want to go to the new
okay.
one.
Yeah.
And I wonder
you
how
wouldn't-
they're priced
But you
differently.
probably wouldn't fly from California to do one park. If you live in Orlando, that makes sense. But you're not going to plan out a whole trip just for one park.
If you only have, I know this is hard for you to understand because you and your brothers are spoiled brats.
That's not true.
If you only have a finite amount of money for a
have
hot
a
vacation, you're flying, these hotels are not cheap. Then you got to get the tickets. Then naturally you got to get the ticket that jumps the line because you can't sit on line.
the Easy Pass. But the Easy Pass is just the your hotel ticket. Remember?
Maybe. I don't know if they've changed that.
All I'm
with the
saying is,
new-
if you want to go, take out a loan. It's worth it.
There you go.
Mortgage your house.
There's my spoiled brat.
Do a Helk loan on your
You
your
don't
house.
need to eat for a year. The kids don't need food. They can go to...
Marvel or Thanksgiving dinner? Like, what do we? This
Put it this way. You and Michael get back to me after you buy your own tickets this
What?
year to go.
What do you mean?
Because you're 29 and 30
What?
years old.
I mean, you're not gonna do that to us.
Exactly.
But this is where the comments start coming in. Actually, Chris, I think you're the one out of touch.
Yeah,
I know, Chris, you're up there with Katy Perry.
Oh, I'm here to tell you all he is. As his mother, I'm telling you, he is out of touch.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead, you go with Mike. He's going to tell you how it's not cost effective to get the special
oh,
ticket.
hold on. Michael's gonna be at the McDonald's or whatever, and they're getting the deals.
Doing the deals.
He's gonna be like, we can't go to Cinnabon today because there's no coupon deal.
There's no coupon
2
deal
for
today.
12.
Yeah. Today we got to get the water from the water park and refill the cup with blood.
It's so I will say this. I saw, and I might be wrong on the year, but this is the first new park opening since 2003. Which
Anywhere?
is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's possible.
Like anywhere in the country, definitely, and maybe the world, but I can't vouch for that.
Well, we had the crash in 2008, and these parks have been hurting until
Hold on.
there was a little bit of time.
Disney's
to
hurting
get
itself
somebody.
with Snow White. Let's
Know that.
not get twisted. But like Disney, now that's a different animal because
Yeah.
Disney's 5 parks, and that one you actually do have to take a mortgage out for. You
Yeah.
could be a millionaire and you still have to take a mortgage out for that place.
Well,
but the
Di-
ticket prices are skyrocketing down.
Not Scottish Jack, but they're offering more packages to try and get people to come.
Yeah.
Trying to incent them. like in
Again,
the
I just want to
off-season.
stay in Cinderella's castle again. That was fun.
Well, it's an experience, and it's lovely for people to be able to do it. But like I said, there are children out there, Chris, who have dreamed their whole lives of going to Disney World, and they never could afford it. You guys have gone to Disney World and Universal. You've been very lucky to go to that. They're fun things to do. I mean, Disney's a little bit age under the. Okay, I can't go.
Don't
down
you
with
fucking say that. What are you going to say?
Never mind.
I
Won't go
know
down that
plenty of
road.
adults that still go to Disney.
Oh, a lot of adults go to Disney every year
Yeah,
and plan their
Epcot.
lives around it.
Oh,
Yeah.
how old are your kids? We don't have kids.
We don't have kids.
Oh, slowly walks away.
We just love to come. The best picture, though, I have to say, was an older couple at Disney. Remember I told you this one? So somebody videotaped them. They were taking a picture on Main Street. And the mother didn't know this, but the father invited the whole family.
Oh, yeah.
And they're standing there, and all of a sudden, the whole family comes out behind them in the picture, and she starts looking. She sees her grandchildren, her children. I thought that was really, really cute. That was a
Oh,
nice
that
thing
is
to do. So, but yeah, there's people that go back every year. They mark their events. I had a friend in college. They drove every year. They stayed every year. They went with their friends to somewhere in Disney. They stayed at every hotel. They did the camping experience. And he did that till he was deep into his 20s because that was his thing.
I would still do it if I could. You kidding? If we lived in Orlando, I guess I'd probably end up hating it because I'd go there too often.
Well,
Right?
they
Like,
do
at some
offer
point you do
discounts for
yeah.
people that live in the state.
Right, but also there's only so many times you could do that. Right? You're gonna get bored of those rides eventually.
Well, we know from our friends, for instance, Disney, wisely, and this is a good marketing thing, they have events that make you want to come. So you got to come to the Halloween at Disney. You got to come to Christmas at Disney.
Which is
Then
amazing. We
We have the 50th anniversary of Epcot. Now it's the 50th anniversary. So it motivates people, and they have timeshares. They have the credit cards where you use your points towards going to Disney. So they've really marketed the hell out of these parks, and they know how to do it. And they do incent you to come back every year.
I want you guys to know I am the guy. I am the 29-year-old that does wear the Mickey Mouse ears, 100%. With my giant Slurpee cup. Where's my mommy? Take a picture.
Yeah.
with my bucket of popcorn and my.
Aunt Susan was like that every time. I'm getting the ears. She had like a collection of the ears.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. With her name in the back. I'm getting the ears.
Oh, speaking of Aunt Susan, we have to announce that Aunt Sue and I are doing a cooking show.
Are you definitely doing
We're
this?
doing this.
For the podcast.
For the podcast, and we might as well since we're doing family meals anyway. So I was like, why don't we cook here and record it because my aunt knows how to cook and I can't. Because everyone's like, you should start doing some cooking stuff. And I'm like, okay.
After that pancake thing, the debacle?
And we won't do them regularly, but like maybe every like 2 weeks.
Special event.
Yeah.
Cooking
The question is, do I want to post it to the podcast channel or do I want to post it to the main YouTube channel? Probably podcast channel, but I'll put it on both. But
well, Susan is a very good cook. We'll see.
guys, let me tell you something. And I don't want to blow up my aunt's ego, but we go to a lot of restaurants here, right? I have yet to have anything better than what my aunt makes. It's ridiculous.
Well,
the fact that
and
Aunt Sue's not a professional chef is ridiculous.
Well, but Susan cooks like good meals that you could cook at home. It's not some ridiculous ingredients. It's not, sometimes it's special stuff, but she could just make a really good Reuben, which is a basic
Guys,
thing.
The shit I would do for my aunt's Reuben, you would think would be...
She can make a really good hamburger, which is something you'd have at home.
Yeah,
it's not like she's going to show
Guys,
you how to make,
You're probably
orange.
thinking, because my mom said that, oh, I can make a hamburger. Trust me, it's not the same. I can make a hamburger too. Somehow my aunt makes them where it just... Why don't you have those skills, Mom?
Don't have them.
Why the hell, Ma? Do you not have the skills for this?
No.
But, no, like everything... Oh, the spiral ham. She told me spiral ham the other day, and I cried in my kitchen for a little bit because I was like, I'm going to survive.
Well, but I'll say this. She does cook it nicely, but something like a spiral ham, I never made it because your father was like, yeah, we don't eat ham. That's
what?
lunchtime.
I could eat that
same
whole
thing.
spiral
Nobody,
ham.
who's going to eat ham? Michael never ate ham. Kenny never ate ham. You were not going to have ham for dinner, so I never made a spiral ham because nobody ate it in our house.
The brown sugar. But yeah, so we're gonna start that cooking show just because I know people have been like, hey, can you like make some stuff for some ideas for me at home now that I'm living alone?
Be prepared. Christopher's going to start, or Pancake's going to start to look like a pancake pretty soon if he's doing it.
That's why we work out, guys. If I didn't work out,
Yeah.
I'd be 400 pounds.
Yeah.
But I'd be a happy 400 pounds.
Well, there's nothing happy about that, but yeah.
But yeah, so
Disowned
Ansel
by
and I
your
are going to
family.
start doing bulk cooking for you guys who are like, what? Like, especially because now I'm doing more meal prep stuff. I got me a crock pot.
Should I say goodbye to everybody now? Because if Susan's thing's going to become so popular, you're going to dump the podcast.
Yeah.
Nice talking to y'all.
Yeah, good to know.
Got
No,
my
you'll do
worm
it
outta here.
next time you're down here. I guess you could. God forbid you learn something too, Ma.
No, I don't need to know anymore.
Yeah.
Your father doesn't eat. He doesn't care about stuff like that.
So we'll use my kitchen, hopefully, or or we could use their place. I mean, Nancy hasn't really decided, but it's gonna be a little bit of a cob job because we only have the one GoPro camera and we don't have microphones, but we'll make that work. That's fine.
What very one-dimensional Answer's kitchen.
Yeah, there's not much, but I just have to make sure I get all the recipes right. You know, like I have to write
Post
everything
it
down.
all
And
you
you,
will.
guys, I will admit, my aunt is more of a just this much kind of person.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna try and get it as exact as possible. But I think that'll be fun for us if she wants to do it. Now, the only reason we're starting it after this, after this week, is because then Grandma's gone.
Yeah.
We don't have any. So it's gonna be like a 5-month project, and then a break, and then another 5 months once she goes back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm out after
Yeah.
once I get her. Good luck trying to do a podcast with her around.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way we could do a cooking show with her here.
Nah, well, you could. She would. We'll see. We take it one day at a time,
Would you like
Grandma.
some cheese and crackers? Graham, we're recording.
Every day is. I had a whole thing yesterday from Instagram. She scraped the crab thing off the crackers, and she went. Okay, whatever. We won't bore you with the details.
Tennessee passes legislation on addressing the big pharma role in mass violence and behavioral health.
Yes.
Able child leads. Okay.
We've had a couple major shootings the last few weeks, and they really, they've gotten attention, but
The FSU one.
I don't know. Unfortunately, they're really not becoming a big deal anymore to others who are not directly affected,
Yeah.
which is not good. But in a sense, what's interesting is you're not hearing the automatic gun control. We're back to that again. This one I found interesting because I've always been a proponent of the fact that guns don't kill people, people kill people. Guns are just their means of doing it. You could get rid of every gun out there and it's not going to make a difference. Most of the time these people are getting these guns illegally, or they were legally purchased, but they're stealing it from their parents or something like that.
Which I do agree, though. I am glad. One thing that I guess this falls under gun reform. I do like how parents are now being held accountable for what their kids do.
Well, they
I
have
think that's
to be.
I think that's a big step forward.
Yes, especially when they're negligent and they're letting these kids have these guns to practice or this or that.
If it's that easy to get into the gun cabinet or whatever, then that's a problem too.
And many of them aren't kids; they're young adults.
Yeah,
they're not little kids. Obviously,
yeah. You don't really hear of like a grade school shooting. You hear of high school.
Well, interestingly enough, what did set this off is the manifest coming out from the transgender shooter of the Catholic school in Tennessee. So they finally released the full transcript fairly recently, I want to say a few weeks ago. And it's a freak show. You know, they hid it for a reason, how troubled that individual was. Well, we didn't, obviously when you're shooting up a Catholic, bunch of Christian school, little children, and a little girl died. And they did everything possible to keep that manifest from coming out in public. Even the school people didn't want it. The parents, the school didn't want it coming out just because it would be so inflammatory. But there's value in it. And what's the value? It's starting to open people's eyes. That individual and others, nobody ever talks about all the psychotropic drugs that they have been on. Wow. Some of them since childhood, let alone the stuff that they're taking when they're transgendering. Everyone acts like, oh, it's fine. It's no big deal. These things are serious drugs. They have an impact, and we don't have long-term studies on a lot of these people that are taking, especially the hormonal stuff. And finally, people are saying, even going back to the days of Columbine, that was one of the original school shootings that got massive attention, 25, 30 years ago, out in Colorado. And since then, we've had others and others. Nobody's ever asked the question, what were these young people on? How long were they on it? Some cases it's just, smoking marijuana. Some of them have been on, we'll say, educational drugs, behavioral drugs from the time they were younger. And there was a recent study that came out in the New York Times by those doctors that were involved in the original Adderall and the Ritalin and the study of ADHD, and how they're now backtracking and saying, based on evidence, we're not sure these drugs did what they were supposed to do.
Which is a great feeling.
Well, you need a track record. And yes, it treated some of the symptoms, but it never treated the problem. Yeah. And the question is now, what are the long-term effects that we're seeing? So finally, Tennessee, and there's been some individuals that have been trying to spearhead this for a while, we have to start holding these psychiatrists accountable who are prescribing these things for young people with no accountability. They pick up a gun, they're mass shooters.
I would say that same thing for people who transition, right? I think, again, I feel like I have somewhat of a say in this because I'm a psychology major and I saw when all the transitionings really started happening. But we've talked about it on the podcast before. It's amazing how it's like one psychological checkup or one thing of therapy and they're like, oh, okay, you want to transition? Let's just, there's no, I would think that there's a lot more steps and a lot more therapy you have to do before you decide to transition.
There are detransitioners coming out now saying, crazy. Nobody met with me.
I remember.
They just prescribed something for me, and I was on hormone drugs, and I never met with a psychiatrist or whatever. And regardless of how you feel with the transgender movement, these drugs have an impact on everybody, not just, hormonally, mentally. And you add that to somebody who maybe is not transgender but depressed.
Yeah, and thinks that they have to. Yeah, there's a lot of factors. I remember when I was in college, there was one of my teachers was a world-renowned clinical psychologist. You know who it is. And he was telling me, because I asked him about this, and he and I had like a deep conversation about it for like an hour and a half. And he said, like, well, how do you navigate something that we have no books on? Mm-hmm. Like, we have no... Right, for depression, there's certain symptoms and whatever, and you can navigate them through it. There's usually traumas and whatever, which is the same with this. Like, it's more similar to depression than it is like, oh, I want to change genders. Mm-hmm. But there's no way of putting someone, like, you can't put yourself in their shoes,
right?
In a sense, because how do you do it? It's like trying to perform surgery on a surgery that's never been done before. So
Right, and there is no,
forget how he played
that
those
old
many years
chemical
ago.
imbalance. We heard about chemical imbalance forever. Even I thought it was a thing. There is no such thing as a chemical imbalance in the brain. That has never been proven by science. They throw that term around that, oh, you have an imbalance with this, that there is no marker. There is nothing that says it should be this level versus that level. I still think there isn't any in terms of a chemical imbalance. So they used to label everything. If you have depression, well, you have a chemical imbalance. You need more serotonin. You need more this. You need more that. They do inflate certain things with medications, but not because something was imbalanced. They just say, well, if you have more of it, you got to be happy. It doesn't mean that you had less before, right? So they're playing around, and now something like this is saying, all right, we're not questioning what you're doing. What questioning is when somebody, for some reason, picks up a gun, and everyone does it, they scratch their head and say, well, we don't know why this happened, right? And nobody is looking at their, because you have HIPAA rules too. Nobody's supposed to know your medical history. But now we have a right to know that because nobody's tracking what psychiatrists are prescribing. And in all fairness, some psychiatrists may not even know all the stuff somebody's on.
Right.
Who knows if they're being honest when they go in? Who knows how many people are treating them? And who knows?
Yeah, but to make, I mean, I guess that's kind of the point of HIPAA laws. Like, in the sense of, I guess sharing amongst doctors and scientists is one thing, but sharing amongst, like, I don't need to know your medical issues or blah, blah, blah.
No, hold on. Before you take my right away to own a gun, when I'm a perfectly healthy individual who's not suffering from any mental disorder,
Right.
You're going to threaten my right because every time somebody who is on something, maybe.
So you're saying break the HIPAA laws for a person like this, not all.
That's what Tennessee did.
Okay, I thought you were advocating for HIPAA laws to kind of go away.
No, but by right, when you fill out an application for a gun, because nowadays, they make you give up your firstborn child just to get a freaking gun in this country. You're supposed to disclose if you have mental health issues, but with HIPAA laws, in some cases, they don't have to check it.
Right.
So you could very easily lie and say, no, I have no issues. I'm not depressed. And meanwhile, you're on 5 different psychotic drugs that have effects on your brain. That individual should not have access. I'll be the first to say they should not have access to a gun because we don't know the long-term effects. And now we're starting to see that. Why is it consistently a lot of these serial killers, and again, this is for people who have killed 4 or more people. Why is it that they all seem to have a commonality? And it's not that they had a gun. It's something else. Well, people in the medical community, they don't want you looking at that. They want to blame the gun. It's the gun's fault. No, you can't take my right away, which is my Second Amendment right. And it's a very important right for citizens to be able to defend themselves. They want to take that right away because, guns are bad. Okay, well, it's not the guns. Why is it that we had for centuries, before the pharmaceutical industry got involved, little kids learned how to shoot guns in school when they were in, little kids.
Used to shoot muskets.
Muskets and whatnot. It was right over and nobody worried about the kid taking it to school and shooting up the little schoolhouse.
It'd be tough to take a musket.
Something else has happened. What is, yes, the rise of depression, the rise of a lot of things going on. It's not easy access to guns.
I'm willing
That's
to bet
baloney.
social media, like if you were to go back in time and take away social media, I have a gut feeling it would go down 200%.
Of course.
I think social media is way worse than people realize.
Oh, it's not just the social media though. You're on social media all the time. You don't go out and get a gun and shoot people up. There's something more to it, and we
I
need
think
to
the
see
way I
what it
use
is.
social media though is more as a bit I'm not really on social media. I use it for my company, but I don't have any personal account stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay, but
So because I'm not someone that posts pictures for attention. Right. I post videos to promote a business.
But why is it so many people? I mean, we know, I shouldn't go into this on a podcast, but we know that there's a certain amount of social media that is not good for people, young people. Explosion in depression and whatnot, and we see a difference when kids are not given access in school and whatnot. They're happier, they interact more.
Yeah, I think that's it right there. The interaction. Not saying who, but some, well, I guess I could just bleep out the names, but
yeah,
they'll go on a date. It's just on his phone the whole time.
Yeah.
And those people next to us that we were watching, when we were at IHOP, the boyfriend was just on his phone the whole time. The girl's just sitting there looking for, hey, you want to have a conversation? So
Well, I mean,
I
that's
think
bad
that's
enough.
I think that's definitely a systemic problem that
Yeah.
our society has kind of like. Even though I'm on this a lot,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really use it a lot, if that makes sense.
But I'm just saying, now we've thrown fuel on the fire, right? So the days of Columbine, there was not a lot of social media. That was before social media was every day in everybody's hand 24/7.
Right.
But you had Adderall, Ritalin, right? I believe, and I'm testing my memory here, a couple of those boys had behavioral or school issues.
Are you talking
back in Columbine? So that was decades ago.
Decades.
Add to that, we still are prescribing medication. We started doing it even younger. We're doing all these different medications, right? And now,
Saying that they're
now
healthier,
we're throwing in
safer.
social media where kids are now depressed. Throw in a COVID where adults are now depressed. We are, and I'm glad to see that our HHS is looking at all these medications
but
and what
also
Big
let's
Pharma's
talk about
doing.
let's talk about the amount of younger kids on there that
Yeah.
are posting not to their friends at school but to the world,
Yeah.
where 40-year-olds can see it, where 60-year-olds can
Yes.
see it, and there's some freaking creeps on the internet. Trust me, I've seen them, and I'm 29.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you're exposing younger people to this all the time, and adults
Yeah.
too. Oh, people are more depressed. Gee, I wonder why.
And the COVID era did not help.
COVID
Right.
era didn't help.
Self-isolation, and then on top of that, let me post while
That's
getting
right.
just berated because blah 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 is having a bad day. Let me tell you guys, I think I've definitely talked about this on the podcast before, but so I had one video on TikTok go, I mean, I guess you could say viral. I mean, it has like almost 5 million views now. Some of the comments, if I didn't have thick skin, I probably would have been suicidal.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, I just posted it. I didn't expect it to go anywhere, but it's like,
Right.
man, there's some sad people out there. But you just, if you can't navigate that, like, you shouldn't be on the internet to begin with. As I said, I'm doing it as a business. If I was just posting and just posting a picture of me and I was getting those comments, I think I'd be on the edge.
Right. And the internet, social media, it's a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
It's not something that, I've always said this, I don't think young people should be on it. And I think the evidence is, like, similar to this, it's not the guns. Why are so many young people depressed? Why all of a sudden are people so depressed? Why is it that you're medicating more people at a younger age? Why is it that we're medicating medication because people are depressed? I'm glad to see that something like this, people are pausing and saying, hey, you know what? You can't just prescribe stuff to people and then walk away and have no accountability. But yet somebody who sells a gun to a person, they're to be jailed, they lose their license, and meanwhile, they have no idea knowing what these people are on. And maybe a lot of these gun people would say, I'm not selling you this gun because you're on 8 different medications and you didn't disclose that or whatever. Oftentimes they're getting these guns, take it from people illegally. I'm glad to see that now we're starting to hold some of these. Maybe it forces these psychiatrists down and say, you know what? I don't have to buy HIPAA laws because I'm your doctor. What else are you on? And maybe you shouldn't be on a whole host. I just remember an anecdotal story when you were in high school. One of your friends had said to me, yeah, I was on ADD medication. I wasn't working for me. It's a high school level kid. I'm not saying the kid was stupid, but, you're high school. You don't know anything. In general, you're stupid. 20-year-olds are stupid. I was stupid too. Yeah, I didn't like it. So I went to my doctor and said, you know what? I think I'd like to try this other one. Okay. That was it.
that was
Okay.
it.
And they handed him a prescription. He didn't go to med school. He's not a psychiatrist. Okay. That was the answer. Like, are you shitting me? And kid tried it. Yeah, it was better for a little while. But you know what? Now, based on what these people are saying,
My
in the
teeth
New
were
York Times,
chattering, but
but that was the point. Okay, it was better for a little while. Yeah, because it treated some of the other symptoms. Did it solve your problems? Probably not, because now even the experts who started this are saying, we have no markers. We have nothing that proves that this Ritalin and ADD helped these kids in any way. We know it treated some symptoms, but did it solve the
Right.
problem? And now it's exploding. And the interesting part of that article was, yeah, we see an explosion in young adults. Oh, I'll tell you why, because it's speed.
yeah, yeah. I remember kids in college that would just take it to clean their rooms.
Take it to clean the rooms, or they take it during exam time, right?
Yeah.
And now you have people in industries, especially the financial, fast-paced industries, that
Yeah.
are taking it that may not have these deficiencies, but it's a form of speed.
The amount of kids in college that I just remember at 2 a.m. just were taking Adderall or Ritalin before like midterms was insane. Like you would just have rooms of kids on Adderall, just trying to study essentially.
When, in the 80s,
Doing
when we
this,
did,
doing that.
right? Well, in the 80s, it was the cocaine. That was the big drug. It was speed. You worked at a huge pace. They did lines of cocaine. Point is, and I'm saying this to somebody recently,
The good old
a
days.
lot of those people who did the cocaine in the 80s, they didn't make it past the ages of 50.
Yeah.
Okay? The same thing with all these young people who are taking Adderall, even the ones who need it, frankly. We don't know. But, like, you have no idea what effect that's going to have on your brain in 20 years. Yeah. Maybe you think, well, I'm making the money now, and who cares? I'll get off. It'll be fine. Tell your brain that.
Yeah. All right. Thousands join anti-Trump protests across the U.S. again. What's this one about?
Well, this was the 50-51. So we just recently celebrated the anniversary of Lexington and Concord, which is a gun issue too, but that was the start of the American Revolution. So the geniuses wanted to have their own revolution, and we're going to have millions of people. 50 protests in all 50 states for one day on the 250th anniversary. So that would have been on the 19th, April 19th. Oh, maybe 10,000 showed up. So,
wow, really?
Oh, it was supposed to be millions of people, 50, 50, 50. This article is the BBC, so they're doing this glorious, oh, it's wonderful, all this stuff. I didn't read the whole article. But the headline to it was, they were expecting millions of people across the country. It was about a total of 10,000 who protested.
But
They're just not getting it. The American people support the policies of the current administration. The current administration said they were going to do certain things.
yeah,
They've
they've
voted
pretty much
for it.
come in on every single thing so far. I can't think of a
That's right.
single thing that they haven't done that they
That's right.
promised yet.
And you're entitled to protest. It's laughable. They think they're going to millions of
I
people.
still love Homan's answer though when they were like, remember all the illegal immigrants outside, and he's like, "Wait, so you guys just rounding yourselves up for us?"
Yeah, thanks. Made it a lot
during,
easier.
during the height of deportation, right? They were protesting deportation. He's like, "Oh, you're all here. Perfect. Get them and go." Yeah. I mean, I'm tired of hearing about this freaking El Salvador
I
guy.
saw a title today. I don't think it was Holman, but somebody had said it. Does anybody know how many children were deported under the Obama and the Biden regime?
I'm gonna say a shit ton.
A ton of them.
Yeah.
Did anybody go down and protest that?
Nope.
Where were all these Democrats then?
Not even a little bit.
So it's hypocrisy, but they don't get it. They tried to drum up this protest, which I was laughing. Millions of people going to show up. Okay, I said, let's see it. Who knows?
And who showed up? No one.
Like 10,000 people, I think was the
10,000, and probably half of them were paid to be there.
Right.
So
right. They just don't get it. This is an overly popular policies that the American people of all walks, Democrats, Republicans, we've wanted this for decades now. We're finally getting it. That we want the deportations and we want these policies. So
yeah. I know someone asked to talk about. There's a big YouTube drama going on right now between a podcast called H3H3, which we talked about before. They were the ones that fair use. Remember the fair use court case? Back when we first started the podcast, we talked about them. Basically, they got a lawsuit for fair use, and now it's used in law school because it was like the first case for fair use being allowed. So they're kind of that's besides the point. But they're in a huge fight right now with a guy named Hassan Piker, who we've also talked about on Twitch. It's a pro-Palestine versus pro-Israel argument.
okay.
And there's just so much drama going on between it. And look, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I know people have asked me to talk about it. I don't care. I'm going to be honest. They're too... I just want to address it because I have nothing to say about it.
Okay.
I could not care less because
I
it was...
haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, it's the
recently.
most... Again, people have requested it like 30 times in podcasts, in live streams and stuff, and I just don't care. I'm going to be honest. I'm not anti whatever the war... Or I'm anti the war, obviously, but H3H3 is Jewish. The other guys, pro-Palestine, used to have a podcast together before it happened. And then, I just have no interest in talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't know enough for one. And two, I couldn't care less. So I'm just going to end that talk right there.
Okay, so that's interesting. So H3H3 had a podcast with a pro-Palestinian individual.
This was before the war started. This was before, yeah.
So let's take that for a minute. So they were able to get along to do a podcast. Okay. I assume, right? They did podcasts together?
Kind of. So I think it was one of those podcasts that it lasted a couple months and then something happened where they just didn't like each other anymore. This was before the war.
Oh, okay.
And then all of a sudden, again, it's two out of touch people who his wife was in Israel. Like she was part of the Mossad, right? The military. I guess
she
I
was
should
in the
say
military, or she was just in Israel?
Israeli military, but you have to be, right?
Yeah,
in that
everybody
country?
has to be.
So I shouldn't say Mossad because I guess I don't.
IDF would be the Israeli
thank you.
Defense Forces.
So she has a say as someone, right? Ethan, who's the husband. I mean, yeah, your wife is Israeli, and that's again power to her for being in the military. The other guy, Hassan, is one of those socialist kind of guys who I don't want to put words in his mouth, but generally sides with that kind of stuff. And then I watched both of them argue about this, and I'm like, one. Neither of you are really doing anything to fix the war anyway. You're just arguing. Right. Like, we can talk all we want about our opinions on things, but we're not changing anything. Right. Whereas these people kind of feel like they're changing things. I just have no interest in their drama. So that's why.
All I know, we don't have skin in that game, and obviously the U.S. supports Israel. All I know is things were always bad over there. There was always unrest. There was always trouble.
This was bound to happen. This isn't the first war they've had.
No, but this is the part I just have a problem with. There weren't protests on our campuses. I mean, people had opinions about Palestine and Israel, and it should be a certain way. October 7th happened 2 years ago. All of a sudden, my country goes to hell over it.
Yeah.
Okay? And everybody turns around and they blame the group of people that had people come in and attack in a horrific way their citizens.
Yeah.
But yet, it's their fault.
Yeah. That's something I still will never understand. The whole, we're going to attack you and try and take you over. We start losing really fast, and please help us. To me is the epitome of where they're at. Like, right, that to me is why.
If you tell me right now the roles were switched, if you tell me October 7th, the other side parachuted in and do these horrific things to the people there, right?
I would feel the same way.
I would be the first one to say they caused it. I mean, they've always been unrest. I get it.
You can't attack, lose, and then beg for help.
Well, not even beg for help. They're not even begging. They're demanding that we support them, and we should hate the group that they attacked, and we should want them all dead.
This is why I hate talking about this, because I feel like it's common sense, but it's not. To us, it's common sense, and it's become a media and using that horrific event to drum up sympathy. That's for those of us we're nuts because we don't understand because they were oppressed. It's like, well, hold on. What's your definition of oppression? Because when I hear oppressed, I'm like,
the day before,
did you have slavery? Did you have whatever?
There were issues in the Middle East.
Absolutely.
I get that. But there was a clear-cut day and a clear-cut attack by one of those oppressive groups on another oppressive group. But somehow the ones that they attack are the ones that are taking it on the chin. They're the ones we are all supposed to hate. It's their fault and blah, blah, blah. In my country. Not even over there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It has no... They're allies of the U.S., Israel. And we pay for it through tax dollars and whatever. But once it's on our territory, like I don't know how to put this, but it just feels like something where I'm tired of getting involved in everything.
Well, they're trying to make it, it's a clear marker, and I don't have any skin in the game.
Yeah,
I understand about Israel and the Jews and all that. I'm not telling you. If you told me that the Jews did that on October 7th to the people in Palestine, I'd be the first one to tell you. That's horrific. Yeah. Shame on you. You are at fault. It was the other way around, and it's still Jews. It's your fault, and everybody should hate you for that. Are you kidding me? I mean, again, I don't have skin in the game, and now on my campuses, all I got to hear is people screaming how the Jews are at fault, and Jews aren't safe, and Jews...
Again, this is why I hate getting into this, because it's just saying...
It's absurd.
It makes no sense to me. Yeah. I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of people fighting over it who don't have skin in the game either, right? Just because you have... The only person in that drama that has a say in it should be Ethan Klein's wife, because she was an Israeli IDF. Other than that, the rest of you are just people who live in America.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I mean. I'm like, I don't. If there's more to the story, then I'd love to know it, but I have no say in this. Yeah, I couldn't care less.
And I know there's been unrest. We know that there's been trouble in the Middle East. There may always be trouble in the Middle East. For centuries, there have been trembles in the Middle East. It's just there was a day there was a clear attack by one group on another group. And since then, the world has exploded in their hatred of the ones that were attacked that day. It's mind-boggling to me.
Right.
I'm like, and you want me to say I have to hate them too. I
yeah.
don't,
It's again, it's baffling.
Right.
Where we are right now.
Yeah.
And to the point where I'm watching YouTubers fight over it who don't even do anything that they make so much money it doesn't even matter, and yet this is the shit that we argue over. I've seen some pathetic fights recently on YouTube. It's like, hey, you guys are Mom, I watched okay, I'm gonna get some heat here. You ready?
Yeah.
Couple months ago, there was drama over people in World of Warcraft because a raid went wrong and everyone on Twitch just started going at each other's throats. I was like, you guys are multimillionaires complaining about losing in a video game called World of Warcraft. Hey, let's grow up a little.
Reality check.
Yeah. Let's grow up. I know that's your job, right? To make money as streamers. But after watching 50 grown adults bitch and complain about a World of Warcraft raid, that's where I was like, okay, we're in a strange society.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like losing in video games, but I'm not gonna destroy friendships over it.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain degree of disassociation going on too for people. Yeah. I have no idea what it's like to live in a place like Israel. I really don't.
No clue.
Thank God I was born in this country. I love this country, and I never take it for granted. But we are spoiled to some extent. But the answer is, well, we're going to bring that shit here now so you guys can see what it's like.
Yeah.
No,
that's not why I live here.
Yeah, that's not why we're here. We live in a democracy. I certainly don't need it from people, and this is going off on a tangent, who aren't even citizens, who are here on a visa causing trouble.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good. There's the door. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the one that baffles me, too. It's like, I hate it here. This country sucks. Okay, leave. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want to leave. And you're not even from this country, and you're here on a visa.
Again, to me, that's common sense.
Yeah.
Right? I would love to see an argument as how to that's not common sense, because I feel like I could put you in the ground pretty easily in an argument. But I don't know. It's weird, but not to end it on a sour note.
No.
But we got to get going because it's Easter dinner. I don't know what we're doing for dinner, but
we're going to Sue's.
Oh, we're having kebabs.
At souffles.
Souffle. I'm excited for this cooking channel. I'm still figuring out how we're going to do it. It's going to be a lot of GoPro stuff, but hopefully over time, when it starts making the money, we start getting extra cameras.
There you go.
We do one of those sky rigs, so that you can do straight down.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of editing.
Overhead shots of what she's whipping up in the bucket.
Yeah, slow-mos.
Yeah.
Slow-mo. Dramatic B-roll of me doing this with the biscuits, just rolling them, just...
This is gonna be a problem. Like Guy Fieri just tasting it.
Yeah, Guy Fieri just I come back in 15 minutes, just stick my.
Oh, this is delicious. Yeah. What are we making today?
Yeah, exactly. But so speaking of that, in the Discord, you guys should put some things that you want us to make so we can show you.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So I'll probably add that as a category.
Take something simple and Aunt Sue will give it a little kick.
Exactly. That's what my aunt's good at. Yeah. Or she'll show you the best way to make it.
Yeah, your common meal, and she gives it a little something extra.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. So we'll end it there. The only things that I have to promote, the last couple weeks have been kind of hairy because of people coming and going between you, Dad.
Yeah.
Stuff
sorry.
I've had to do.
Sorry.
No. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just the schedule's been so messed up.
I'm not going anywhere for the next 5 months.
Yeah, really. Now you're trapped.
Nowhere.
So, obviously, last week's podcast, I posted on Wednesday the walkthrough the guide for the newest Call of Duty map. So go check that out, the Zombies map. And then yesterday I posted Medieval Blacksmith. So go check that out. That was like a full-time job, let me tell you. That game was like actual blacksmithing, and I was expecting something fast. Mom, it took like half an hour to make a sword. I was like, this is ridiculous. But it was fun. So go check that out. And then this comes out on Monday. I'll stream on Tuesday, and then Mom has another podcast to do tomorrow. So it's going to be a little hectic. But after Tuesday...
Interview.
After Tuesday, and then I go to Miami like 2 weeks later. So it's going to be a little...
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah. And then that's about it. So social media, promo code, stream links, Discord down below. And hopefully we'll see you guys next week. And I will see you guys at stream. So.